Romain Grosjean. There are drivers who fear the lights. Then there was Romain Grosjean, who feared what he might do when they went out. 2012, Belgian Grand Prix. The start lasts 3 seconds. Hamilton moves right. Grosjean squeezes. Wheels touch. The Lotus catapults over Alonso's Ferrari like shrapnel through daylight. 4 cars destroyed before turn 1. The silence after the crash said everything. The FIA didn't just fine him. They banned him for a race. That hadn't happened to a Formula One driver in nearly 20 years. He came back different, but not cured. Grosjean was a paradox. Lightning quick in clean air, chaos embodied in traffic. Engineers loved his telemetry. His throttle trace looked like a pianist playing Chopin at 300 kilometers per hour. But on Sundays, impulse killed rhythm. At Spa 2012, he erased the championship hopes of 2 world champions in one move. At Suzuka, he repeated the same first corner dive. By Abu Dhabi, rivals joked about checking mirrors not for overtakes, but for Romain. Yet the man wasn't reckless out of arrogance. He felt too much. That's what made him fast and fragile. When confidence filled him, he was podium material. Valencia 2013 proved it. When fear crept in, disaster followed. Every race start was a coin flip between brilliance and carnage, and fate closed his F1 career the same way it defined it, in fire. Bahrain 2020, a 67G impact, the car slicing the barrier, exploding into flames. He crawled out alive, hands burned, eyes wide, reborn. Grosjean's weakness was never bravery. It was that he had too much of it, overflowing, uncontained. He lived every lap like it could kill him, and one nearly did. Sebastian Vettel 4 titles, 44 wins, 9 in a row. Sebastian Vettel looked like a machine disguised as a human being. Red Bull's golden boy didn't make errors until Ferrari gave him a car worthy of his legend. Then the ghosts appeared. 2017, Baku. Behind the safety car, Hamilton slows. Vettel misjudges, swerves, deliberately hits him. Over the radio, he brake tested me. The world saw a flash of fury behind the perfect smile. 2018, Hockenheim. His home crowd roaring, leading comfortably. Light drizzle, one tiny lockup, gravel, silence. Vettel punches his steering wheel, screaming, "No!" That scream wasn't about one corner. It was the sound of a champion braking. From there, the spiral was brutal. Tiny spins everywhere. Bahrain, Silverstone, Monza. No contact, no reason, just a flick of oversteer born from tension. Every time he tried to not make a mistake, he made one. Every pole position came with a shadow. Can he hold it? He rarely did. Inside Ferrari, the myth collapsed. Mechanics whispered about his paranoia. Teammates like Leclerc arrived and outqualified him. Vettel started doubting instincts that had once been divine. The truth? His weirdest weakness wasn't driving skill. It was oxygen. When pressure suffocated him, he forgot to breathe, literally tightening behind the wheel. The same man who once danced through rain like Senna now fought the car like it was quicksand. By 2020, Vettel looked haunted, a former god trying to remember how to be human. And that's the thing about perfection. It doesn't crack loudly. It shatters quietly, mid-corner, in a half-spin that no one can forget. Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc was built for speed. Ferrari fans call him the Prince of Monaco, but his kingdom is made of walls and regret. Every time he touches a steering wheel, you know something special will happen. Either a lap from the gods or a mistake from hell. 2019, Baku. On pole pace, then bang, into the barrier. Radio cuts through static. I am stupid. No excuses, just self-hate in real time. 2022, Paul Ricard. Leading by 10 seconds. Car stable, championship fight alive. Until one tiny snap of oversteer. He spins into the barrier screaming again. No! Same tone as Vettel 4 years before. Same team, same storyline. Leclerc has a gift that hurts him. He drives with honesty. Every corner is a confession. He'll push beyond the car's limit because he believes he is the car. When Ferrari gives him a bad setup, he compensates by going even deeper on brakes, turning risk into religion. It's why he can produce miracles like Silverstone 2019 and Austria 2022, but also why he throws away sure wins in seconds. Mechanics say he's the first in and last out every race weekend. Telemetry shows he brakes harder than anyone else on the grid. That aggression is his edge and his enemy, because when you live on the limit every lap, you don't cross the line, you dance on it. His weirdest weakness is psychological self-destruction. When everything is perfect, he feels the weight of expectation and creates chaos to remind him he's still human. He doesn't need pressure from others. He manufactures his own. 1 minute, he's a future champion. The next, he's a young man staring at a crumpled Ferrari asking why. Sunday. Leclerc is the most modern tragedy in F1 right now. A driver so fast that his talent outruns his mind. He'll win titles one day, but only when he learns that being the fastest doesn't always mean being the smartest. Valtteri Bottas in 2017. Mercedes handed Bottas the seat of a lifetime. The fastest car on earth, the best team in F1 history. Yet across 5 seasons, he never became the man who could beat Hamilton. On Saturdays, he was electric. 30-odd poles, rocket starts, perfect laps. But Sunday mornings he changed. If Hamilton was a predator who smelled blood, Bottas was a soldier checking the manual. Every time strategy went off script, you saw the hesitation. Should I attack? Should I save tires? And the moment passed. Hamilton never hesitated. What haunted him wasn't lack of talent, but belief. After every race, the radio calls sounded like therapy. Valtteri, it's James. 2 words that told him who the alpha really was. He could set records in practice, then watch team orders turn those laps into sacrifice. When he finally snapped in Russia 2018, refusing to celebrate after being told to move over, you saw the crack in his mask. He was the perfect wingman in a team that never wanted 2 wolves. Bottas's weirdest weakness was his own discipline. He obeyed too well. He drove like a machine when Mercedes needed a madman. By the time he found freedom at Alfa Romeo, his legacy was sealed. The gentleman who could beat everyone except his teammate. Jenson Button. Jenson Button made racing look effortless. Silky steering, gentle throttle, a car that glided instead of fought. In perfect conditions, he was untouchable. Give him rubber in its sweet spot and a well-balanced chassis, and he'd outthink anyone. But change the temperature by 5 degrees, and his magic vanished. Button's entire career was defined by tires. When the track was cool or the wind shifted, he couldn't generate heat in the front axle. The car understeered, the lap time died, and suddenly the same man who won Monaco looked lost in midfield. He once joked, "I need the car to talk to me." But when it went silent, he was helpless. Even in his championship year with Braun GP 2009, the pattern showed. He dominated the first half of the season when the tires worked with the car's trick diffuser. Then, the weather cooled, others found pace, and Button slid back into average. He still won the title, but it proved that his weakness was control itself. He needed predictability in a sport built on chaos. That's why his greatest wins came in rain, not because he was reckless, but because rain slowed everyone down to his rhythm. In the dry, he was a perfectionist. In the wet, he was an artist. Button's weirdest flaw was that he could only dominate when the world around him behaved. When it didn't, he couldn't force it. He waited for balance that never came. Mark Webber. Mark Webber looked built for Red Bull's dynasty. Tall, fit, viciously fast over 1 lap, but every Sunday morning came the same curse: the start. While Vettel blasted away, Webber sat spinning wheels as the field swarmed past. It became a running joke in the paddock. No one lost more positions by turn 1 than Mark Webber. It wasn't just bad luck. Webber never mastered the art of launch control. His style, heavy right foot, instinct over algorithm, didn't mesh with the precise clutch bite window modern cars needed. The team tried to help. New software, endless practice starts, data analysis. Nothing fixed it. He'd qualify on pole, drop to 4th by turn 1, then spend 60 laps fighting back what he'd already lost. Behind the smile was rage. He hated being seen as the number 2 to Vettel. Not bad for a number 2. He snapped after winning Silverstone 2010, a sentence that summed up his career. When he was angry, he was lethal, but anger can't fix starts. Even in his final season, 2013, the same story played. Fast on Saturday, stuck in traffic by Sunday. Webber's weirdest weakness was surgical, something so minor, yet so terminal. Every race began with the possibility of failure before the first corner. It didn't matter how many poles he earned or laps he led. The world remembered the starts he missed. In a sport of millimeters and milliseconds, Webber's whole legacy hung on the moment a clutch bit a fraction too soon. Pastor Maldonado. There are hot-blooded racers, and then there's Pastor Maldonado. Chaos dressed in overalls. He entered F1 like a thunderstorm. Loud, brilliant, unpredictable. The Venezuelan had speed that frightened even veterans. Telemetry showed corner entries so sharp engineers thought the sensors were wrong. In clear air, his car looked weightless. But once a second car appeared in his mirrors, gravity returned. Hard. Spain 2012 was his miracle. Against Alonso, against Ferrari, against logic, Maldonado planted his Williams on pole and led every lap like he'd rewritten physics. His team poured champagne with shaking hands. It was the underdog story Hollywood dreams about. Then, the weeks after turned into nightmares. Monaco, Wall, Canada, penalty, Silverstone, collision, Singapore, retirement. He could build empires on Saturday and burn them by Sunday evening. Teammates teammate said you could feel when Pastor was angry. His steering inputs became staccato. Every turn of the wheel a punch. Engineers begged him to cool down. He'd just nod and push harder. He lived on adrenaline, the drug that dulled reflection. That's why he never learned from crashes. Every fresh wreck was his first. And yet, under the carnage, there was purity. He raced like a man who refused compromise, who'd rather go out in flames than fade into anonymity. Formula One hated him for the repair bills, but secretly loved him for reminding everyone what unfiltered danger looked like. His weirdest weakness wasn't recklessness, it was memory. Each reset wiped away fear. Every start was rebirth. Every mistake was forgiven. By him, never by the walls. Daniel Ricciardo. For nearly a decade, Daniel Ricciardo was F1 Sunbeam. The honey badger grin, the shoey celebrations, the impossible dive bombs that made crowds gasp. He wasn't just fast, he was cinematic. Late braking at 300 kilometers per hour, slinging his car inside two rivals with an optimism bordering on insanity. His signature move, launching from absurd distances, was an art. Then the rules changed. Cars grew longer, heavier, more digital than mechanical. The braking systems that once obeyed muscle memory now required software trust. When he joined Renault, and later McLaren, Ricciardo tried to copy his old magic, but the pedals spoke a new language. The cars demanded patience, not violence. Daniel didn't know patience. He knew faith. So he kept braking late. The front slid, the rears twitched, and telemetry painted confusion. Engineers couldn't fix instinct. They softened suspensions, altered mapping, everything. Yet the time never came back. He'd watch his teammate Lando Norris glide through corners he fought against. Every debrief became a post-mortem of identity. How did the grid's most natural overtaker forget how to turn? The answer was brutal. He hadn't forgotten. The world evolved away from him. By 2022, his laugh sounded rehearsed. Behind the sunglasses sat a man replaying laps in his head, chasing ghosts of Monaco 2018 when he drove half the race with no power and still won. His weirdest weakness was his humanity. While others adapted like computers, Daniel felt every doubt. He needed confidence to drive. Without it, he vanished. In the age of data, feel died first, and Ricciardo's heart went with it. Nico Rosberg. Nico Rosberg lived his entire adult life staring at one reflection. Lewis Hamilton. They'd shared karting tracks as kids, hotel rooms as teens, podiums as men. When Mercedes reunited them, everyone expected a friendly duel. It became psychological trench warfare. Rosberg realized early that he couldn't out-talent Hamilton. He'd have to out-plan him. He studied telemetry until dawn, memorized Hamilton's corner speeds, rehearsed throttle timing on simulators for hours. He even changed personal habits, nutrition, breathing patterns, handwriting. To emulate consistency, he weaponized discipline. 2014 and 2015 broke him twice. Every time he thought he'd found the edge, Hamilton sliced through him with raw instinct. The 2016 season became obsession disguised as strategy. Rosberg practiced starts until his left leg trembled, rewired muscle memory, visualized races while falling asleep. He stopped being Nico Rosberg, friend and father. He became Nico Rosberg, machine. In Abu Dhabi 2016, he faced Hamilton's mind games one last time. The deliberate backing up, the radio silence, the threat of losing everything. He didn't blink. He took second, secured the title, and exhaled the longest breath of his life. Then he walked away, retired within a week. No farewell tour, no defense. Because his weirdest weakness was capacity. To beat Lewis, he had to empty himself completely, and there was nothing left to refill. He wasn't broken by defeat. He was broken by victory. Rosberg proved that perfection is attainable, but not sustainable. Kimi Raikkonen. Kimi Raikkonen was Formula One's ghost, drifting through chaos, untouched by emotion. While others screamed over radios, Kimi's replies were ice cold. Leave me alone. I know what I'm doing. And he did. His hands were poetry, his laps, minimalism in motion. But genius needs fuel, and Kimi's ran on interest. When the thrill dimmed, so did he. In 2005, he could have won the championship if not for reliability. His qualifying laps in the McLaren were lightning caught in aluminum. 2 years later, he joined Ferrari and took the 2007 title by a single point. Most drivers would build dynasties from that. Kimi went skiing. Testing bored him. PR bored him. Politics bored him. He raced because he liked going fast, not because he craved trophies. Inside Ferrari, engineers begged for feedback. He'd shrug. Car feels okay? They'd tweak setups blindly while he disappeared to his motorhome. When motivation waned, so did results. He left for rallying, ice racing, even NASCAR trucks, anything with engines that didn't require meetings. His 2012 comeback with Lotus was absurd. 2 years out, he returned, won in Abu Dhabi, and reminded everyone that that talent doesn't rust, it just sleeps. Yet even then, when asked about the victory, he mumbled, "Not bad." That was Kimi, the man who treated miracles like errands. His weirdest weakness wasn't laziness, it was indifference. He loved driving, but not the circus around it. F1 demands obsession. Every corner analyzed, every heartbeat measured. Kimi refused. That refusal made him both a cult hero and a cautionary tale. Had he cared more, he might have rivaled Schumacher. But then, he wouldn't be Kimi Raikkonen, the last true outlaw of the modern era, a legend who reminded us that sometimes greatness dies not from failure, but from boredom.